So without further ado, please help me welcome Craig.
Good morning, and I'm very happy to be here. My name is Craig Jimenez. I am the Director of Community Development for the Community and City of Monrovia. I have been there for 23 years, and I've been very fortunate to have landed there. This is my first career as a planner, and I've given the opportunity to move up within the community. It's a tremendous place to work. Right now, we are going through what we call a development renaissance. There is more development that is being proposed in Monrovia than my entire 23-year career, and that's kind of valley-wide. We've seen a lot of cities that are seeing a lot of development. But just to kind of put it in perspective, we're looking at about 2,000 new units that are somewhere in the development pipeline. Right now, the city of Monrovia has 14,500 dwelling units. So this additional 2,000 units is a 13.5% increase in our housing stock. And this probably will occur in about a 5-year period. So it's tremendous. It's very awesome responsibility that we have, and I remind my staff that what we're doing today, we need to make those decisions, the right decisions, because we are building the Monrovia for the future. And that is a very awesome responsibility. It's exciting, but it's real scary, because we want to make sure that we get it right too. And what I do tell my staff and the Planning Commission and the City Council is, remember, this is what we've been planning for. We've been talking about this for 40 years. We knew that Gold Line, some sort of light rail was going to come to Monrovia, and we wanted to be ready for it. So going all the way back to the 70s, we started thinking about that. We started planning for what Monrovia wanted to be in the future. And I think one of the things that really has contributed to Monrovia's success is we've stuck to that plan. And we've deviated, and times change, and you have to respond to change, and you have to make modifications based on who would have known that Amazon would have come along 30 years ago and changed the whole retail environment. So we had to make some adjustments. But we didn't throw out the plan. Every time there was new leadership that was elected, we made adjustments, but we stuck to that plan. And that really, we haven't spent a lot of energy having to replan. So that is really helpful to remind everybody, we've been talking about this, we've been planning for this. We just didn't know it was all going to happen in a very short period of time. But it is very exciting. So today really what I want to talk to you about is let you know what's going on in the city of Monrovia on the development side. The first project I want to talk about is one that's under construction. This is the Modet Station Square. This is 261 apartments, and this is directly adjacent to our Gold Line station. In fact, the development wraps around the Gold Line parking structure. So it actually hides their parking structure that has no architectural features with a building that has a lot of them. So that worked out really well for us. But this project is under construction. It should be occupied by the midsummer this year. So they're moving along really quickly. At the point right now, this is the largest project that Monrovia has ever approved and had developed in the city. We also have a lot of projects in the pipeline, some that are just about ready to go to Planning Commission, and some that will probably take about 6-7 months, up to 12 months. The first one that is coming up is our Marriott Town Place Suite. So this is a 109-room hotel. This is at the corner of Myrtle and Huntington Drive. So it's on the southwest corner, probably our most important corner in town. And those of you who are familiar with Monrovia may remember that every year there was always a Christmas tree lot and pumpkin patch, and the community was very upset that they weren't going to be able to get their Christmas trees there, but we think this is a pretty good replacement for that. We expect they're going to be going to Planning Commission in the next couple of months, and probably be under construction at the beginning of next year. We also have the Richmond Development Group is proposing a 296-unit apartment building. This is down in Station Square. This is just south of our Gold Line station. At the time that this goes through the entitlements, this will become the largest project that Monrovia has ever approved. This is at the corner of Duarte Road and Magnolia Avenue, and it really encompasses that south anchor for our Station Square Transit Village planning area. So this view is looking from Duarte Road. This also incorporates, we have Peck Road, there's a traffic signal there, and you can see it will be on both sides of Peck Road. And part of this development, which is a great amenity for the community, will incorporate a southern access point to the platform for the GO line. Right now, if you want to get on the GO line, you have to go from the north. So now you'll be able to get to the GO line station both from the north and the south, and there'll be a transit plaza that will be incorporated as part of this development, which is a really nice amenity for the community. So this is looking at it from the Magnolia side, which is on the west. And then looking at it, so if you're in Station Square at the Transit Village, you're looking past through the platform, and you can see how it does interact and connect with the transit plaza. The next project is the Avalon Bay project. This is in our Old Town extension area. So this is just south of our Old Town. Right on Myrtle Avenue, it's about a block and a half south of Old Town. And this is Myrtle between Chestnut and Walnut Avenues. 254 apartments. This will also be mixed use, so we'll incorporate a retail component on the ground floor. So our goal is to try and create a better pedestrian experience from Old Town to Station Square. It's only a mile walk, but there's not very much to see along that walk, so we're working to try and make it much more walkable, pleasant experience. One of the exciting things about this project is that they are taking advantage of our density bonus provisions, and there will be 13 low-income units, so this will have an affordable component. And one of the things that really is driving all of this housing is we have a housing crisis, we have a housing shortage in the valley, in the county, and in the state. And so this is these 13 units, very small dent, but it starts to take the steps towards trying to provide some more affordable housing. The other project, this is back down at Station Square. Now this is the one project that we weren't expecting. This was not a project we were planning for. This is just the west of Station Square Transit Village. So on the west side of Magnolia Avenue, although it's only about 2 blocks from our transit station, we weren't thinking this was going to redevelop anytime soon. So this is, right now we're still in very conceptual stages, between 435 and 440 apartment units. So at the time this comes through, this will then become the biggest development that Monrovia has ever approved. This will also include some public amenities, live workspaces, and parking for Station Square. This is not quite as far as long, so we expect this will come to the Planning Commission probably early part of next year. Another project that's down at Station Square is the lumber yard, and the lumber yard was already approved by the Planning Commission, and this is a kind of the food hall concept, like if you've been to the Packing House in Anaheim. It's kind of a fancy food court is basically what it is, but it will have a lot of food and breweries and different types of eating establishments. The property owner, seeing all this other developments going on, is thinking about, well, what else can I do? So he's looking at incorporating actually a housing component in this, and this is so it'll be a mixed-use development. So this is what you see is what was approved, but we expect that it will look a little bit different once it actually gets built. This is about a block from our Station Square. So this map just gives you a really brief overview of what's going on. So on the left, you can see the Avalon Bay project. This is just south of our Old Town, the Marriott Town Place, and this is at Huntington and Myrtle. And then on the right, you see this is our Station Square. Where that star is, that's where the platform is. So you can see that there's a lot of development interest there. The MODA is to the north of that. The Richmond project is to the south of that. The Trammell Crow is to that big blue square to the west. And then we also have the mixed-use project, which is the lumber yard to the north. We have another 250 units. Station Square North, our park and ride, we're looking at a development there. And then there's where the old car wash is on Duarte and Myrtle. We're looking at some development there. So every parcel within Station Square, there's plans for. So again, a lot of interest in Monrovia right now. But we also have some commercial development that's going on too. This is on East Huntington Drive. This was the former Albertson site. It sat vacant for about 3-4 years, and we thought, with the death of retail, this center was never going to come back to life. But it was sold, and the new owners were very motivated, and the center is basically done now. TJ Maxx and Home Goods have opened. Aldi has opened. We have Michael's was going to move, but they decided to stay on the other side where they are right now. And Ulta is coming in. They should be opening in mid-summer. And then Kids Empire, which is a playground, indoor playground, will be opening, and will then complete the center along with the O'Reilly's that's already there. So we're really excited to see this center come back to life. It was rebranded as Monrovia Landing. Monrovians are very passionate about their history, and so this gives a nod to the Monrovia Airport. I didn't know there was an Alhambra Airport, but Monrovia also had an airport, and it was right across the street from the shopping center. Movie Studio Grill. This is the former Krikorian. Krikorian sold their theaters in California to Movie Studio Grill. Movie Studio Grill is a Texas-based theater chain, and they're just coming into the California market. They have already started their remodel. They are putting in all recliners in all the theaters. You'll have food and beverage service to your seat. They're also putting in a restaurant. So this is a nice upgrade to the theater, and will really be a nice amenity for our old town. And one of the projects that I'm really most passionate and excited about is our Santa Fe Depot. One of the things that got me into planning was my love of historic preservation and architecture and old buildings, and the Monrovia Depot is probably our most important building for many reasons. At a time when it was built, this is how most people arrived in Monrovia. This is how goods arrived in Monrovia, so it really was a really important part of our history. And this is a picture in the 60s when it was still fairly active. And then it fell into decline. Passenger service stopped in 1972, and then this building sat vacant for a long, long time, and it fell into a very slow decline. It wasn't under our ownership, so we didn't have any control over it. But during the Gold Line negotiations, we actually got ownership of the building, and then we had to figure out what are we going to do with this building. So we came up with a plan, and we worked with a great partner that came up with an idea. Let's repurpose the building and use it as, it can become a restaurant. So these are the conceptual plans to renovate this. It includes the renovation of the depot, and then a large patio, taking the old freight platform and turning it into a dining patio. This is a rendering of what that patio would feel like. And you can see that it's right next to the Gold Line, so you can sit there and watch the trains go by every 6 minutes. And it's done. And we unveiled the building. We had a ribbon cutting about a month ago, and it looks just like the pictures, which is always exciting for us because we go out and sell the project, and we hope it turns out, and it did. It's terrific. So this is, you can see the canopy structure, very modern, very different than the depot, and that was the intent. We didn't want people to confuse this with it being an old building, but it really creates a very nice space outdoors. We don't have a tenant yet. We have a couple restaurateurs that are very interested in the site. No one's signed on the dotted line, but we feel very confident that within 6 months we'll have a restaurant that will, if not under construction, will be close to being open. And this is a kind of looking down at our station square. So the train station is to the right, the depot and the canopy are directly front, and then this is our transit plaza. So one of the things that people always ask is, okay, with all this development, traffic is already so bad, and I mentioned today I didn't realize it was going to take me quite as long to get from Monrovia to San Gabriel as it did. Perhaps it was the rain, or perhaps traffic is always this bad, but we were thinking about that too. And so we've instituted what we call our Go Monrovia program. This is a multimodal approach to try and get people to move them around through the city. It doesn't deal with the regional traffic problems, but it really helps to get people from Station Square to Old Town, or from home down to the Gold Line station. And we have a two-part in phase one. And the first one is our Monrovia Transit provided by Lyft. Right now, we have a dial-a-ride system that's similar to a lot of other cities. We're transitioning that to a partnership with Lyft, and that is already active, that you can call Lyft. If you're in the city, you don't have to live there, but if you're a resident, if you work there, or if you're a visitor there, you can call and get a Lyft ride for 50 cents. And that will take you anywhere in Monrovia, back and forth. So you just call Lyft, and you can go to our website, Go Monrovia, and it gives you the details. You just have to plug in the Go Monrovia code, and you can get a 50-cent Lyft ride. And it's 24/7, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. So it's always available. So if you want to come to Monrovia and you get to the Gold Line station, you call Lyft, and they can get you for 50 cents up to Old Town or any place else in Monrovia. Second component of that is our partnership with Line Bike. And Line Bike is a dockless bike program, and that was also put into place about a month ago. We're seeing line bikes all over the place. We're trying to educate our residents to not just put them anywhere, so we're learning from there, but this is also another way for those who want to be a little bit more active to get around town. And for, you get the app, you find a bike, and the app will tell you where all the bikes are, and then you unlock the bike with the app, and then you ride it, and then you lock the bike when you're done, and that's it. It's $1 for 30 minutes, 50 cents for every 30 minutes after that. And again, you can set it up with your credit card, and it's already set up in your app, and it's all secure. But it's another great way to be able to get around Monrovia. So we think that these two things are really going to help move people around Monrovia without creating people having to park and move their car, and they can get around town without their own personal vehicle. So that's an overview of what I wanted to talk to you today. I'd be happy to answer any questions or.
Those train stations, where the train goes?
The Gold Line right now it ends in Azusa, and it goes through Monrovia, through Pasadena to Union Station.
Line?
It's the Metro Gold Line, yes, and then ends up in East LA on the Gold Line. But at Union Station, you can connect to several of the other lines. Yes,
Craig, one of the weakest points of Monrovia is the county area. I know you can't do anything about it, but for years I've wondered why Monrovia didn't get together with Gordy and get rid of that county area that's high crime, and it's a bad stigma for both Gordy and Monrovia.
Yes, there's a lot of challenges there, and we've been working in partnership with the county to try and we do provide some services down to the county and we work very closely with the sheriffs, but it is a challenge because there's so many jurisdictions involved. It's a tough one to solve. Yes, sir.
I think planning to extend the Gold Line from Azusa all the way to the Fontana or something like that. Is that the plan?
Yeah, so for the next phase, we'll take it out to Montclair, to the Montclair Transit Station, and that will probably be in about 5 years. They're already starting to do the engineering and environmental work on that. The long-term goal is to take it out to Ontario Airport, which would be fantastic. The challenge there is that you're working with two different transit agencies, LA Metro and then the San Bernardino County Transit. So if they can come to an agreement, then we should see that. But that would be pretty awesome. Yes, sir.
So I understand the development and why it's necessary to come to the city. But I want to moment to get from the context of current owners. So how much time would they have to vacate premises on time to notify them that there's going to be development on the net surrounding?
The majority of this development is occurring not in residential neighborhoods, so it's not going to displace residents. We have one development that is moving forward that encompasses about 7 or 8 houses. The developers already made offers, and they'll probably have about a year before they have to actually move. But that's kind of where they are. But other than that, that's the nice thing about this. We're not displacing any residents.
The impact of traffic flow and congestion through Gordy close to the Myrtle and, you know, I mean, it bottlenecks quite a bit
Yeah.
because of the trains coming through.
And that's, yeah, and then the traffic that's caused by the trains is something that we've been working very closely with Metro and the California PUC on that. It's getting better, and we're learning as we go along. It is something that, again, we knew that it was going to cause some problems. One of the big challenges is because the goal line was so successful that they actually increased the amount of service. Originally, when they planned it, it was only going to be running every 15 minutes, but because there were so many riders, now it's running every 6 minutes in peak times, which really plays havoc on traffic. We are looking at some improvements on Duarte Road, and certainly the intersection of Myrtle and Duarte is something we're looking at. One of the big challenges is there's a cemetery right in the way, and there's no way to widen that, and we don't want to go there.
Even the impact of all those housing, you're throwing another several hundred units, which is what, 400 to 800 cars.
Right. The thing that we looked at there is that most of that traffic, well, hopefully a lot of those people are going to be riding the train. And it's very convenient, and they'll be moving west as opposed to east, and really a lot of the traffic problems are coming from the east. Duarte Road going west actually flows pretty well until you get into West Arcadia. Yes, sir.
What is the city requirement for the affordable housing consideration applied to the main people? Is it mandate?
The city of Monrovia does not have what's called an inclusionary ordinance, so we do not require an affordable component. We incentivize affordable component. So if you put affordable, if you propose for affordable, there's different types of incentives that we will give to the developer to incorporate affordable. But the city council's approach was to provide incentives as opposed to mandates. So at this point, we don't require it, but we do encourage it. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, as the gold line keeps extending and keeps getting further and further, are there any eminent domain properties taken away because of that?
I don't know. We do not have very much power. Government lost a lot of eminent domain power. One of the few things that you can use eminent domain would be for transportation purposes, and whether any of that's going to require going east, I'm not really sure. That's out of our jurisdiction, so we're not really very involved in that. So.
What is the requirement for the restaurant get into the restaurant that you want people to get into?
For the depot? Really, we just want a good operator. We're not facilitating the deal, the developer is, but we're looking for a restaurateur that understands what the building's about and wants to utilize the building. I think the Grand Orange in Pasadena is a really good example of a restaurant that took their building and really made it special.
Franchise or just the...
I don't think, again, I think we would be open. I don't think we're not looking for a fast food or probably not like a Chili's type restaurant, but there may be some franchises out there that would be appropriate. If you know anybody, let us know and we'll be happy to contact them. Yes, sir.
What is the price range for those apartment station?
They haven't developed any sort of pricing yet. I can tell you that the 5th and Huntington project that was just completed, that's right on the border of Monrovia and Arcadia, is 1 bedrooms are going for about 1,000 to 1,800. 2 bedrooms are 15 up to 4,000 in that development. So they're not inexpensive, and these are all going to be luxury apartments too. So I don't expect them to be at a low price point.
How about low income?
The one project, the Avalon Bay project, has 13 low income units in it. All right, thank you.